How's it going, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Mavs Step Back Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Trigg. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Drew Johnson. You can find both of us on X at Dalton_Trigg and at Coach Drew 33. Merry Christmas Eve. We're getting close to the madness, which I guess the madness has been happening for a while now. I don't know if you've gone into town lately, but it's just, it's bad.
Tried not to. I tried to avoid it like the plague.
Yeah, everybody doing last second Christmas shopping, and it's pretty wild. But we're almost to the end of it, and then we'll be at New Year's, and guess what? We get to start it all over again. So we're getting close. The Mavs are giving us a lot of good early Christmas presents here lately. The latest, they played the Portland Trail Blazers on Monday night, and unlike the last time the Mavs played the Trailblazers, the Trailblazers did not shoot 60% from three. In this game, they shot 27.6% from three.
This makes sense.
Yes. So instead of the Mavs winning 137-131 like they did in Portland the last time they played this team, they won at home 132-108. Really, it should have been 132-106. The Trailblazers hit like a uncontested stat padding bucket at the end there that it shouldn't annoy me, but it did annoy me. It should have been a 26-point win for the Mavs. But anyway, so the Blazers came back down to earth. That was an unbelievable shooting display they did in the last game, and you figured it wouldn't happen again. And sure enough, it didn't. But, overall, Mavs shot 53% from the field, only 33% from three. They got out rebounded in this one, 48-41. Gave up 16 offensive rebounds. But, overall, it just did not matter because the Portland Trailblazers had 19 turnovers, and the Mavs converted those 19 turnovers into 29 points. And that's essentially your game right there.
The Portland Trailblazers are also a top 5 offensive rebounding team, and I'm also pretty sure they're top 5 in second chance points. So, you look at that, but you also have to consider the fact that they are absolutely terrible as far as shooting percentages are concerned on a nightly basis. And did they shoot it particularly well tonight? I don't think they did.
46% overall. I mean,
it's
all right.
Yeah, it's okay. But if you look at their roster, they've got some guys that can really go get it as far as offensive rebounds are concerned. I'd completely forgotten that they had Klingon from UConn.
Yeah.
That guy, I knew he was large while watching him in college. He is an absolute mountain of a man.
And I don't know what's going on with his knee. Maybe that's just a brace just for caution, but he's got like a robo knee or something.
He doesn't move that well right now. He isn't moving anywhere near as well as he did in college. I'll say that, which I hate to see. I really thought he had a lot of upside. But I'll say this. The most not polarizing, the thing that stood out the most to me about Portland, not in a good way, was Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson does not need to be an NBA point guard. He just doesn't. He was getting punked all night, specifically by Kyrie Irving, which, Kyrie is one of the best, if not the best point guard in the league.
Yeah.
But still, you got to be able to hold your own. And Kyrie was just attacking his handle over and over and over again, and he just kept coughing it up. Kirk Henderson in our group chat really said it best. You can't be as small as Scoot is and, as average of an athlete as he is and make such horrific decisions consistently. And I know this is a Mavs podcast, but watching him play basketball pisses me off.
I mean, he's really, and I mean, not to be, I don't think this is too disrespectful to say, but I mean, it's really just the facts of it. If you watch him play, he's kind of like a Dollar Tree version Russell Westbrook. You look at his had 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a team high 4 turnovers in 26 minutes off the bench, and shot 4 of 11 from the field. So,
yeah, and that assist to turnover ratio tells you all you need to know. You're a big fat goose egg whenever it comes to making people around you better. And what are you supposed to do as a point guard? What is your main, responsibility?
don't turn the ball over.
Don't turn the ball over, but also be able to manufacture looks for your teammates.
Be the quarterback.
Better. Exactly.
Same thing for the quarterback. Don't turn the ball over and orchestrate points.
Exactly. Like, you would like to see him be more than a game manager, but at this point, I don't think he can even do that. If your assist to turnover ratio is 0 or less, it's a bad scene.
Well, overall, I mean, like you said, Portland, they've got some players. They just, it's just one of those situations where they don't have like that alpha guy, that can just take over a game. But overall, I mean, they've got some good pieces. DeAndre Ayton, I know he's, in the past, I have said that I put DeAndre Ayton in the bust category, not because he's not a good player, but just because Luka could have gone number 1 in that draft, and he will never be Luka, ever.
Yeah.
But, I got to hand it to him. I mean, he is, at least his offensive game, he's solid. I mean, he can gobble up rebounds. He had 16 points tonight, 8 of 11 from the field. That midi game is very underrated for Ayton. So, he's a player. Anthony Simons is a player. Shaden Sharp is a player.
Yep.
I love Denny Abdia. He, I wished, we talk about, potential Maxey replacements, and we'll get into that a little bit later in this pod. But, last season before, or maybe it was the offseason before he was traded from the Wizards to the Blazers, that's a guy I was looking at like, man, is there any possible way the Mavs can turn Kleba and something else, whether it's a pick or, young player attached, whatever the case may be? Could they get Denny Abdia? And, that would have been incredible if they did, because I love that guy and his game.
Oh my God.
It's effortless. Like I look at, 23 minutes off the bench, and he had 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block, and shot 6 of 11 overall, got to the line 8 times in 23 minutes off the bench. Like, I would love that from the backup 4 position.
You said it earlier. It was effortless. Like, and I can see why you say that it's effortless, but the guy's motor is unbelievable.
He never stops.
It just keeps going and going. And, when you get a guy that size, with a motor like that at that position, oh, he would be so good as a backup 4. He would be so good backing up PJ.
Yeah.
You literally wouldn't miss a beat. I mean, I'm not saying that he's as good as PJ, but you would not be missing a beat whenever PJ goes off the floor.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like Lively and Gafford, but you have it for the 4 position.
Exactly. Speaking of Gafford, holy crap.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, man. We've talked about it before, like when the Mavs, and I mean, look, Gafford is good overall no matter what, but like especially when the Mavs play teams that, aren't like playoff caliber teams. Portland's not terrible, but like, they're an awful away team. Like they're a bottom of the lottery type team when they're on the road, because they're 3-13 now on the road. But when Gafford plays against these lesser than good teams, I'll say, he is unbelievable. Like he turns into Shaq. It's just great to see. Like tonight, 21 minutes off the bench for Gafford. He had 23 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, and was a perfect 7 of 7 from the field, and got to the line 14 times. He went to the free throw line 14 times. He hit 9 of them. But in 21 minutes off the bench, Gafford had more points than he did minutes played. and he got to the line 14 times. That's crazy. What a great game from Gafford.
No, you can't ask for anything more. I mean, honestly, like it was outstanding. And we say that he plays really good against bottom tier teams, but look at the matchup. Okay, like oftentimes he was going against DeAndre Ayton, which I think DeAndre Ayton, like you said, is a good player. I do think DeAndre Ayton is a good player, but much like how Scoot Henderson got punked tonight, I felt like Gafford punked DeAndre Ayton a lot.
And the Rook, Klingon.
Yeah. I'm not sure that Klingon's healthy, though.
Look, there were a couple times in this game where Gafford, and you love to see the aggressiveness, but like instead of just waiting for lobs or, catching it really deep in the paint and just kind of flipping it up and in, there were a couple times where he had it at the top of the key and he turned and drove past people and went in for a dunk. Like, he was showing us a little bit of extra stuff tonight that we don't see a lot of on a regular basis. Like, he was outstanding in this game. So if you get a little bit more versatility from Gafford, if he's going to start driving past dudes and slamming it on their heads, that's going to add another wrinkle to this Mavs offense that is already pretty much unguardable. So,
no, he really did an outstanding job in the mid post, facing up on that with a reverse pivot. There was one play in particular. I want to say he got it at the elbow and just blew past Ayton. And Ayton actually recovered pretty well and was able to contest, and he scooped it right under Ayton. And I was like,
and got the foul, I believe.
Yeah, it was so nasty.
Yeah,
I didn't know he had that. That's different. I thought he was going to try and dunk on him, which would have been fine. But nah, he was able to adjust in midair and really display an elite finish. I mean, that's something you'd see out of Kyrie,
Yeah,
so,
it was I was just thinking that it was a Kyrie-esque finish for Gafford on Ayton.
So no, Gafford played outstanding. I thought that Lively played well too. But tonight was
only 16 minutes for Lively in this one, which given, the game was over by the time it got to the fourth quarter. So, I mean, he didn't have to play any more than what he did.
Yeah.
But 4 points, 4 rebounds, an assist, a steal. He was plus 16 in his 16 minutes. So, I mean, the bigs have been very effective for Dallas. And look, even Maxi Kleba, who we've been, very critical of here lately, he did not have a good first half. I was still feeling some things that I've said on recent pods in that first half, but he did. I mean, honest to God, he really did have some very, very good defensive plays in this game.
Yeah.
And he finally hit a three for the first time in forever. When, if you're a Portland fan, it's over when Maxi's hitting a three. Dwight Powell hit a three.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter of this game. Like, I could just see Portland fans punching air at that point. Like, insult to injury, just terrible. So
I could see Portland fans just turning off the game. If I was a Portland guy, and honestly, I would have turned it off after the Maxi three. If you want my honest, the guy was literally like shooting it from the knees.
Yeah. I don't know what was going on. Like, there was one point where like Najee Marshall, I think he only played like 3 minutes in the first half.
Why? What happened?
3 minutes in the first half, or like 3 minutes in the first 2.5 quarters or something like that. And then he was out there for garbage time. So I don't understand that unless he's just still not back into playing shape and, they're just trying to slowly bring him along. My theory is, I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit hole, but my theory is the Mavs are probably going to trade Kleba. And to trade him, he doesn't have to be great, but you still have to play him and show like, hey, this is a live body who can be effective doing some things sometimes. So in my opinion, that's why Kidd is being so stubborn, continuously putting Kleba out there, because even if there's not much to showcase, you got to showcase a little bit if you're going to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought he showed some good stuff on the defensive end tonight. That's stuff you can expect from him if he stays healthy which he hasn't been able to do over the last couple of years. But anyway, we're not going to get off on a tangent, on Kleba or even Dwight Powell hitting a three, which was awesome. It was awesome, but we're going to move on. So Luka, we got to talk about Luka. Missed a couple games with the heel contusion. Obviously, a heel injury is something that you worry about a little bit because you don't want it to be like an Achilles thing because it's close. But he did come back. There were, people didn't know if he was going to come back for this one or just wait until he got to play Rudy Gobert on Christmas. But he did come back and got his rust knocked off before that. And he finished with a game high or a team high, 27 points, had 7 assists, 7 rebounds, a steal, and shot 10 of 19 overall. And he was 6 of 8 from the free throw line. So, pretty good night for Luka. The only blemish for him, really, in my opinion, was the 1 of 7 shooting from 3. And that's probably just because he missed the last couple of games. You have the heel contusion plus, like 5 days, 6 days since you've played. No, it's been longer than that because of the NBA Cup. It's been like over a week. So, got to get your legs back under him. But he did hit his last 3-point attempt of the night, and then he came out of the game. So maybe that'll open the floodgates for Christmas for Luka. But overall, I thought he looked, fine. It didn't look like he was laboring throughout this game like we see from him several times throughout the year. So I thought it was good. I thought he looked good. And I thought overall he has some stuff he can improve on going forward, but it looked like a pretty decent return for Luka. What do you think about his play tonight?
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get his feel back. I mean, that's one of the first things to leave you whenever you're out extended time. And, a week is, in the grand scheme of things, is not that long, but it is long enough to kind of lose your feel a little bit as a player. And he needed live action to get it back. And, his you saw him really go to that mid-range a lot, specifically off the pivot, in which I think he's probably the best player in the league off the pivot. He's easily the best guard off the pivot. When he's able to jump stop and get off too, he's very, very difficult to stop because he can get whatever he wants. It's literally just a game of chess with him. He's going to take whatever you give him and he's going to score. I mean, that's just the way it is.
It's a layup for him. So
exactly. So, you really saw him target those types of opportunities. And I think that way he's able to, generate a little bit more confidence, get his feel for his jump shot back. And it was incredibly encouraging to see him knock one down at the very end. But man, it's so funny to me, and I've said this before, but it's so funny to me that someone can come out and drop 27, 7, and 7, and we're just kind of like, it's no game.
Yep.
It just kind of tells you, what we have in Luka Doncic. So,
you take away those 3-point attempts, and he was 9 of 12 on every other shot.
That's crazy. Well, that's just how efficient he is off the pivot, dude.
And I'm pretty sure those 3 misses on those the 3 misses there, the 9 of 12 on 9 threes. I'm pretty sure those 3 misses all came in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great stuff for Luka. All right, we got a couple more points we got to talk about here, but we do have to take a quick break. I got to tell you about Prize Picks and get you ready to possibly use Prize Picks for this Christmas Day game. With the Mavs and the Timberwolves, might want to get in on that. But anyway, we'll be right back. What's up, y'all? We're taking a quick break to tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Want to play Prize Picks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code STEPBACK to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code STEPBACK on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, DJ, before we carry on with our game recap here, I have a couple of notes I wanted to share that I saw that Mavs PR provided. So in the first half tonight, Luka, PJ, Kyrie, Gafford, and Klay Thompson, they all scored in double figures in the first half. It marked the first time that the Mavs have had 5 players with 10-plus points in the opening half since December 2nd, 2009, when they played the New Jersey Nets. The 5 Mavs players to accomplish this feat the last time it happened, Dirk Nowitzki, Jason Kidd, Jason Terry, Tim Thomas, and Eric Dampier.
Oh, wow. Dude,
Sure.
I haven't heard Tim Thomas's name in forever. I hear about Eric Dampier all the time. We're in Mississippi. His kid plays at Madison Ridgeland Academy.
Yep.
So, you see
Mississippi
all
State
that on.
guy.
Do what now?
Mississippi State guy.
Yeah, exactly. So, you hear about them all the time, but Tim Thomas.
Yeah. It's
Still
always funny to
alive?
me that Tim Thomas, was on the Mavs and he was like Mavs fans just hated him because of his time with the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
The run and gun Suns and being an antagonist in that rivalry. But yeah, so that was one interesting tidbit, from this game. And then another one, Daniel Gafford, as we mentioned, he had a season high 23 points, shot 7 of 7 off the bench. His previous season high was 22 points against the Spurs back in mid-November. And Mavs PR says that the Mavs improved to 5-0 all time when Gafford scores 20-plus points. So if Gafford is feasting, the Mavs are unbeatable. And also, another tidbit, and Mavs PR didn't say this, but I confirmed it, before the game because we talked about it in the last pod. But this starting lineup of Luka, Kyrie, Klay, PJ, and Derek Lively was 5-0 coming into this game, and now they're 6-0. And it wasn't even close, 132 to 108. So just continuing to stack wins with this true starting lineup for the Mavs. And man, it's crazy. We're nearly 30 games into the season, and that starting lineup has only played together 6 times, and yet the Mavs are 19-10. Like that bodes well for the future, in my opinion. It means that this team has not peaked yet, and they have a chance to peak at the right time and possibly, tweak the end of their roster a little bit, add a little bit more oomph, so to speak, and peak at the right time heading into the postseason. So, what do you think? Obviously, this isn't surprising to me, and surely it's not surprising to you that this starting lineup is so effective together.
Oh, no. Well, they've really kind of gelled at this point, but also, that 19-10 record, despite only having them played together 6 times, it really speaks to the depth of this team. We've said it over and over again. We may be the deepest team in the NBA. And tonight's another one of those examples. You look, one of your main scorers off the bench, Najee Marshall, something happens and he doesn't get hardly any minutes today. And yet we still are able to blow these people out by 24 points. So, we're incredibly deep. And with that depth brings added comfort. You don't have to rely on people as much, and you can rest people accordingly. You think about how many games Luka has missed, and you look at the record or our record, so to speak, whenever he's sitting out, and that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
The fact that we're able to still win games without arguably the best player in the league on the floor. So, I mean, that tells you about our depth, and as we all know, whenever it comes playoff time, that depth is it's key.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we can keep everyone healthy and everyone fresh, going into the playoffs. But now there's a lot to be excited about with this roster. I think it is the most loaded roster the Dallas Mavericks have ever had. And
I agree with that.
close.
I don't think anybody can say that's a controversial take either. Like that, I think you nailed it on the head. I think it's the most talented, the deepest roster, and a lot. And part of that, I know people bring up the title team, but this team is so much younger across the board than that title team was. That title team was like, they were kind of at the end of their run. This is not that. This is a team that is set up for success for the foreseeable future. So,
well, you also look at that title team, and you had a bunch of like former guys, like former All Stars. Sean Marion was great. Jason Kidd's an all timer. Dirk, enough said. But I don't want to upset anybody whenever I say this, but I feel like that team overachieved. I really do. I feel like they had a goal in mind and they just set out to achieve it, and they overachieved. They beat so many great teams. So they took out they took out Kobe. They took out Oklahoma City's big three, and then of course they took out Miami. So
yeah, and look, Dirk will be the first one to tell you that they were pretty fortunate to catch Miami in that first year of them being together. Because after that, they until the Spurs figured them out. In 2013 is when they did it. When they beat them, I think that because Miami went on to beat OKC in 2012, and then they beat the Spurs in that crazy 7-game series in 2013. And then the Spurs finally got them in 2014.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because 2013 was the Ray Allen.
Correct. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, crazy. So I agree. I mean, look, it's despite all the context you can add to it, it's still the heaviest ring of all time, which I've seen several people, use that terminology for it, and I think that's the best way to phrase it.
Perfect.
Heaviest
I've
ring
never heard that. That's perfect.
Yeah. The weight, it's just like he's just walking around like
No, it is. It's definitely the most meaningful ring ever. I mean, who else had a run like that? Tell me.
Nobody. No. Nobody. If you want to talk about like most intriguing or most exciting finals, you could make a case for the Cavs beating the Warriors in 2016. But overall playoff run, you can't. There's no argument. It's the best playoff run.
I can think of one that is sort of comparable, but they didn't win. And it was Allen Iverson's Philadelphia 76ers team. They ended up losing to the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals. That was an outstanding playoff run by a single player. I mean, AI was God mode.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the only comparable one. And it still doesn't measure up. It still doesn't measure up because at the end of the day, Dirk was able to win. They were able to win it all. And Allen Iverson's team was not. So, again, I stand by my earlier statement. You can't name another player that has had a run like that through the playoffs.
I agree. It was unbelievable. All right, couple more things I want to point out here, and then we'll head out. But we're gonna play our occasional game here, the plus minus thing. Without looking at the box score, who do you think led the Mavs in plus minus tonight?
Daniel Gafford.
Actually not. Actually, it wasn't even close. And that's why plus minus is such a weird stat, but it was Kyrie. It was plus 30.
Oh.
Yeah. In 29 minutes.
I could see it. Kyrie was outstanding on both ends of the floor. It was really a mismatch though with him and Scoot. He just bullied Scoot all game.
Yeah, 20. So in 29 minutes, he had 20 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, 0 turnovers, and shot 7 of 14 overall, 2 of 6 from 3, and a perfect 4-4 on free throws. So, and surprisingly, Gafford was only a plus 10.
Oh.
So,
That's crazy. He was perfect as far as field goals, but he did miss free throws. I don't know. Plus minus is weird.
It is. You can't bank on it because.
No.
But anyway, if you're looking at the top guys in that category for the Mavs tonight, it was Kyrie first plus 30. It was let's see, PJ second plus 27.
Makes sense.
And then Klay Thompson third at plus 21. So interesting. But, sometimes that, we talk about it every now and then. Sometimes it will match the eye test, but a lot of times it doesn't. So,
yeah,
it's not the end all be all. But anyway, the Mavs are now 19-10, and they are, let me update my standings here. They are still 4th in the West, but they're only a half game behind the Grizzlies, who lost tonight. So the Grizzlies are 20-10. The Rockets keep winning, but they're playing against, I don't know who put the Rockets' early season schedule together, but they have to have the easiest strength of schedule possible through the first 30 games of the season.
All right, it's going to come back around and bite them in the butt later on.
I actually looked that up earlier. For the rest of the season, like from this point going forward, they have, I think it was Tankathon I looked this up on, but they have apparently the 7th hardest strength of schedule for the rest of the season. So it's going to, like you said, at some point it's going to catch up. And that 7th doesn't include a couple of other cupcake games that they have coming up. So they still have to play the Mavs 3 times. So, but look, after everything that's going on and the starting lineup not being together for as many games as we'd like, they're still 9 games above 500, and they're only 4.5 games out of first place in the West. They're only 1 game out of the 2 seed. So, a lot of good basketball left to be played. And I think, like I said earlier, we have not even gotten close to this team peaking yet.
No.
Even though they've won like 14 of their last 17 games now or something crazy like that, they still haven't peaked yet, which is a good feeling going forward. All right, guys, that's going to do it for another episode. Before we take off here, though, I do want to share something that I announced earlier on X today. But DJ and I, we're going to be, kind of transforming Mavs Step Back into more than a podcast. We're going to, we have experience writing. We've taken like a 2-month hiatus from it. We're jumping back into it, but we want to, jump back into it ourselves and not like, writing for another publication. So Mavs Step Back is officially going to be a writing hub now too. And we're going to be doing that on Substack. Here is the QR code. If you want to scan that and go ahead and sign up, it's free. Just put your email in there and you'll be on our newsletter list. But we're very excited about it. I mean, we're not going to just run ourselves in the ground, like having all these quotas and everything. So I would say, all of our work is going to be more meaningful than a lot of the stuff used to be. Sometimes something will happen and you have to get like a quick hit 250 word article on something that deep down you really don't care that much about. That's not going to be the case with this. It's going to be very laid back. It's going to be our genuine thoughts. We're going to bring a lot of passion to it. So I'm very excited about it. So y'all be sure to go subscribe to our free newsletter. And then in the future, you have an opportunity to upgrade that if we ever have any, exclusive interviews or something like that. But again, here's that QR code. If you want to go sign up, just get your phone camera. It'll take you directly to it. and sign up. We're our first post. We're gonna start doing this at the top of January. So I'm actually gonna have some stuff pre-written, and we're gonna post it, as soon as we get to 2025. So be sure to do that. Also, be sure to just go like, rate, and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts to enter yourself for a chance to win future giveaways. We appreciate it, y'all. We are looking forward to Mavs Timberwolves on Christmas Day, 1:30 p.m. Central Time tip-off. It is Luka versus his heated rival, the guy he hates the most, Rudy Gobert. It's Anthony Edwards and Kyrie Irving. The Wolves look like a dumpster fire right now, and the Mavs are on a tear. So this could potentially be another blowout win for the Mavs. We'll see how it goes. Things are definitely trending that way. I'm not saying the Timberwolves aren't capable of giving the Mavs a fight because they've got Julius Randle, and we know how Julius Randle likes to play in Dallas specifically. But, I think the Mavs can keep this positive momentum going. So we'll see how it goes. Guys, appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of your night. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.